In 1992, one man's carefully calculated plan brought the British economy to its knees. This is the story of George Soros, the man who dared to bet against a superpower, raked in $1 billion USD before the dust settled, and left a kingdom grappling with the fallout. Welcome to Do Academy. Today, we examine the events that led to Britain's Black Wednesday and uncover the facts behind the financial coup that brought the nation to its knees. Post-World War II, a monetary system was established in 1979 Europe called the Exchange Rate Mechanism, or ERM for short. It aimed to foster economic interdependence among European countries and stabilize the exchange rate of European currencies. Now, this was 20 years before the eventual adoption of the euro by the EU. The ERM pegged the European currencies to the German mark, which was the strongest and most stable currency in the continent at that time. This all sounded good on paper, but binding European currencies like this proved to be ERM's Achilles heel. With the ERM, national banks are tied to a fixed exchange rate, unable to react to economic fluctuations. It allowed for slight fluctuations, but if a currency strayed too far, the country's central bank had to intervene by buying or selling its currency to stabilize it. The flaw in this system was the need for active monitoring and intervention, and its inability to accommodate the different economic considerations of each country. This means that when the German central bank chooses to raise interest rates, it causes funds to flood into the German mark as it becomes more attractive to investors, while the other currencies pegged to it to depreciate. Those countries in return will have to raise their interest rates as well to keep up. The British PM from 1979 to 1990, Margaret Thatcher, understood the flaw and initially kept Britain out of the ERM. But by October 1990, her power had waned so much that Britain joined the ERM despite her opposition, thanks to the political power of John Major. A month later, Thatcher resigned while Major was elected as Prime Minister, hailing the ERM as his triumph. Already in recession, the act of joining the ERM in late 1990 threw a wrench in the British economy. With Germany's continuous rising interest rates, Britain faced the challenge of maintaining high interest rates despite inflation, depleting reserves, and leaving itself vulnerable to devaluation, a weakness waiting to be exploited. Enter George Soros, a financial shark on the scent of opportunity. He recognized the flaws in ERM and predicted the eventual devaluation of the pound. Starting from August 1992, Soros built a massive short position against the pound by borrowing pounds from banks and hedge funds. He then sold them in the foreign exchange market to buy German marks, amassing a 1.5 billion USD position against the pound by late August. Then, he waited for a catalyst to trigger a major market movement. On September 8, 1992, Soros gets his trigger. A seemingly innocent remark from the Bundesbank president was good enough for him to spark a frenzy. When Bundesbank hinted at potential currency adjustments, he knew it was time to act. Soros goes on a massive borrowing spree of British pounds, preparing for a substantial sell-off when the time came. By the morning of September 16th, Soros sold 10 billion worth of pounds, prompting a frantic response from the Bank of England. With their reserves dwindling, the bank had no choice but to float the pound and raise interest rates significantly. But despite purchasing billions and raising interest rates twice in a single day, the bank's efforts were futile against Soros and global market forces. On the same day that evening, the British government conceded, suspending the pound from the ERM. What is now known as Britain's Black Wednesday was a chaotic day for the nation. The pound plummeted, interest rates soared, and the stock market crashed. Soros walked away with a cool 1 billion USD windfall, while the British government incurred a cost exceeding 3 billion pounds. While what happened was devastating to Britain, Some argued that Black Wednesday was a necessary wake-up call. In the long run, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. It exposed the flaws in ERM, with Britain withdrawing from the system, gaining back control over its monetary policy, and paving the way for 16 years of economic growth. By 1997, the pound surpassed its ERM value, marking a turning point for the nation. Successful investors like Soros showcase the importance of adaptability in identifying opportunities amidst challenges. Soros, guided by his belief that the market is always wrong, strategically profits from market errors by conducting a thorough analysis. This helped him to foresee the pound's depreciation based on him anticipating Germany's continuous interest rate hikes. The events surrounding Soros versus the Bank of England highlight financial market vulnerability, which emphasizes the need for robust risk management and the importance of flexible economic policies as seen in the Bank of England post-ERM, which allows for recovery and growth. Black Wednesday has led to a rethink of the UK's entire economic strategy and the establishment of the inflation targeting practice that is still in place today. And that was how George Soros went against Britain, won big, and inadvertently changed the course of a nation. Do you think Soros was a villain or an accidental savior in this financial showdown? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to like, share, and follow Do Academy for more actionable investment insights.